Alright people, this is Ocarina of Time here. We're playing some Conduit 2. That's just what I've been doing lately. I decided to give this game another chance because even after all the bad things I've said about it, I really have to give him credit. I mean, this game's a pretty big improvement over the first one, and I really enjoyed the first one. And here, today, I'm going to talk about some invasion strategies and tips, and also what kind of weapons you should be using, because lately I've been playing Invasion a lot more multiplayer. The reason why I don't play multiplayer is because, well, I've took such a long break from this game, barely even played it. I feel like the online community is so competitive that I shouldn't even bother, which sounds pretty stupid, but it's just hard to understand. Like, for instance, on GoldenEye, I used to be one of the best players in GoldenEye, and I can say that confidently. I used to be in like the top 100 for the leaderboards and put out amazing scores, but ever since I took my break and came back, for one, I lost my skill, and two, this player is much better than me. Anyway, on Conduit 2, I'm playing Dig Site because Avalanche often spawns the enemy in the wall and making all my work for nothing. And Serenity, the enemies either camp too much and it takes me too long to get to them, or it freezes. I'm playing Dig Site, which does freeze sometimes, but not that much. Anyway, ideally, what kind of weapons do you want to be using? Well, it really depends on the map, but for the most part, weapons with a lot of ammo count and weapons that are explosive are the best. Right now, I'm using the MP5, which is almost too good to be a secondary because it's just that good. And as my primary, I'm using this wonderful piece of machinery known as the Carbonizer. If I were to rationalize this weapon as a human weapon, it's definitely the machine gun for the Trust. It has a high ammo count, it makes you run slow, you just spray and pray it. It really is a drudge machine gun. In my opinion, it's the most overpowered weapon in the game, even more than the SMAW, because of the immense amount of damage it does, incredible range it has, and the fact that you can just hold down the trigger forever. The only reason why it's not considered overpowered is because barely anybody uses it online, and for the second thing, it makes you so slow, and that's the reason why nobody uses it. Anyway, this weapon is you can just get lazy with it. You can just start going at any range and just start blasting away and just lay hundreds of enemies to waste. I'm going to do another video with the TPC launcher because that thing is like a miniature grenade launcher in itself, and it's quite an incredible weapon if you know how to angle it right. You have to know a lot about trajectory in order to use it, but if you do that trajectory right, it's quite a good weapon. See, I like weapons that I like being at points where I'm at right now, like on this ridge, because I'm able to see everybody on the map, almost everybody, and not have to run around or hunt them down or collect all the coins. The reason why I'm not going after the coins or worried about my score is because I have plenty of extra and I've already bought everything I can. Well, everything I care about at least. Anyway, as for tips, you should do like I said. Find a good vantage point like I'm at. For the most part, unless you're playing on Serenity, the enemies are always going to be playing on the offensive. So you want to do the opposite. If they're going to be offending and coming towards you, you want to be on the defensive and ready to wipe them out. You don't want to go out there and then get ambushed or fall down a hole and get shot up while you're running away. That's just a mess. Up here, unfortunately, there's not much cover, except for these pillars. But I still use it anyway because it's just a great spot. On Serenity, there's several camp spots. You can camp in that little stairway with 3 windows. You can camp in the middle building and then put a Widowmaker. That's also an excellent weapon for this mode. Avalanche, it's pretty obvious. You go in that little tower that everybody likes to camp in on multiplayer. You know, the one with the stairway and the ladder? Not really a stairway, a ramp. Anyway, yeah, that place. And the enemies will literally just come running up there like idiots. As for your perks, the ones I have on for this class are Metal Legs, because I like to run a lot. Quickness, because I like to, of course, reload a lot. I have improved energy damage for the Carbonizer, and in my opinion, what you should have on every single class is ammo salvage. If you don't have ammo salvage, it's not going to do it. Otherwise, you're going to have to run out to the ammo box every time or pick up enemy weapons. And for me, I like having my choice of weapons, and since I don't like to move that much, I mean, I do like to move, but, you know, it's just a hassle going around everywhere. It's just good to have ammo salvage. It's such a great perk because it resupplies everything. And all you have to do is kill the enemy. You don't have to like pick up a pack or something like you do on Call of Duty. Anyway, if you notice how I never go down there, because that's where enemies spawn, that's where grenades get thrown, that's where I can get ambushed. You always want to stay in the high points of the map. Notice how I'm also using these little barriers over here as cover, because if an enemy's shooting at you, though it doesn't look like it, those little pieces of cover, they're going to absorb the majority of the bullets, believe it or not. If all else fails and you don't have cover, just crouch down and back up. That's just your main strategy. Right now, we are on round 2, so that's not that high, round 4. And as you can see from my vantage point, I can easily take out all these enemies. And they do spawn up here, which can be a real hassle. Another strategy. If you're being attacked by several enemies and you run out of ammo on your primary, and you really just need, a life or death kind of thing, just switch out to your secondary, waste them, and go back to what you're doing. If you try to reload in front of your enemy, then you're probably going to be toast. Anyway, the best perks are probably the ones that increase your amount of ammo and power and everything like that. Because really, on multiplayer, you want the class that's going to be able to kill quickly, that's going to be able to keep you on your feet, that's going to be able to, overall be useful to yourself and your team and make it so you can get many kills. On survival, kills are only half the battle. The other half of the battle is staying alive. So I'm using a class that's going to keep me alive. I'm keeping a class that keeps me on my feet, keeps me constantly stocked with ammo, making sure my weapons are always in check, and that's the important thing to me. That's what it's all about on invasion mode. I'm probably going to do another video that has some multiplayer tactics in it, because most of those strategies I listed are just for single player. The phased rifle is also an excellent weapon for any map, because of the fact that you can reach through almost any walls, especially if on Serenity, because when you're trying to post up in your position, the enemies refuse to come out of the buildings, and you don't want to hunt them down, that phased rifle will take them out like no problem. Your secondary is really a matter of preference. If you're playing solo, the Widowmaker is an excellent choice. You just slap on specialization and put it on the high point, like the fountain on Serenity, or up here, or at the doorway to the camp spot on Avalanche, and then you're set. I know a lot of people probably don't really condone my camping, but the fact of the matter is I'm only really doing it on survival. You won't see me camping a multiplayer. That is when I do go on. Anyway, the Widowmaker, that's a great weapon, like I said. But the only problem with it is you're going to have to choose your secondary carefully, or pick up weapons off the ground, because if you put on the Widowmaker, then you almost always are going to need Widowmaker specialization. And that means that you are not going to get to have your you're not going to get to have ammo salvage, meaning that your secondary weapon is pretty much going to be your main source of running and gunning, and you won't be able to have constant ammo for it. So you'll either have to pick up weapons or just, well, I guess not use it. The Aegis device is a good defensive weapon. Never use it if you're alone though, because it's overall slow, and usually if you want to have it on somebody who is going to be the healer for your team. The ARC Clips is also another good choice of weapon for those who know how to use it. Personally, I hate it because of all the maintenance you need. You can't shoot it endlessly. I do like the fact that it has infinite ammo, but you have to cool it down, charge it back up, cool it down. It's just, I don't like it. That's why I prefer a human weapon, because they're reliable. You can aim down the sights. You can hit from anywhere across the map. Pretty decent ammo count. They're just easy to operate weapons. They're nice and simple. I do like me some drudge weapons sometimes, but the only one that I really like is the Warp Pistol. I'm not any good with the Shrieker or the Strike Rifle. Well, actually, the Strike Rifle's pretty good. Anyway, if you guys need any more advice or anything, I mean, I'm not an expert at Conduit 2. I'm sure you guys probably are, but if you need more good survival tips, go ahead and ask me. I've beaten I've beaten this game on elevated difficulty on most maps, so I'm pretty experienced with survival. And thanks for watching, guys.